Well, hey, it's me, your girl, Felice Renee, and I'm the host of the Peace and Living Today show, where we put peace in the life of our listeners. And I am so excited about our guest today. I tell you, I met him back in the time when I didn't even think that I could speak to anybody outside of the pulpit, okay? But he had this contest, guys, and I've never seen anything like it on Facebook. It was called, I think, Live Your Best Life. And they were saying, okay, take a picture and then share it and then like it. You know, I'm doing everything I know how to do on my laptop, you know, to get this ebook they had. Because I know my life is being changed right then and there, you know. And so it was supposed to go to 5 o'clock, but it went to 9. And I stayed from 9 to 9. Never before on anybody's Facebook Live or anybody's church service, okay? But they were saying some awesome things that was changing my life as I was watching. And they told me, okay, they had a winner. And I was like, oh, so I started going up my steps. And they said, oh, no, it's a tie. And they called my name out. I was so excited. I was like, whoa, hey. And so Ruben called me. And he said, why aren't you public speaking? And I was like, well, you know, I don't know how to get into that. And as you know, I went through his Black speakers,
Black belt
speakers mentorship program. And I'm telling you, my life has changed since then. I went to an event he had in Detroit. It was like none other. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even sleep the time I was there. That's how excited I was. But I want to introduce you to this awesome man of God. He is powerful. He is doing great work in Kenya. And it seems like everything he touches, God causes it to prosper. So without further ado, I want you to meet my mentor, my friend, Ruben, Dr. Ruben West. Woo!
Hey, thank you. Hey, you know what? I got to commend you on the work that you're doing. And if you're listening right now, you're in the right place at the right time. And this is the right podcast. So prepare yourself, because I think it's going to be life-changing.
Yes, it is. So Ruben, I wanted to ask you a question. What started you to speaking? What, you know, as a kid, some people say, when I was a kid, I played with a microphone. So what was it that caused you to become a professional speaker?
You know, I had written something. I took it to my uncle. I drove back to Topeka, Kansas. I took it to my uncle. I shared it with him. And he said, wow, this is great. You should reach out to Les Brown. And at the time, I didn't even know who Les Brown was. And this wasn't a long, long time ago, but I didn't know who Les Brown was. And I was like, okay, I'll look him up. So on the way back, driving from Topeka, Kansas to Bloomington, Illinois, I got on YouTube and I found this video, Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, and he was speaking to like 80,000 people. And I was like, what's wrong with my uncle? Like, why would he tell me this? Like, this guy ain't gonna talk to me. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I was just irritated that he would even tell me this. Like, why would this guy talk to me? And for those who don't know, I worked in surgery for like 29 years. So I was working in surgery at the time. And I was going to be assisting this surgeon. We were going to do the first esophageal sphincter procedure in the state of Illinois, where we just put these magnets around the sphincter through the laparoscope to help with acid reflux. And he said, Ruben, when you get home, take any notes. We'll come in tomorrow. We'll review before we do the procedure. We're going to do the first one in the state. So that day I was writing some notes in my kitchen on the counter, and I walked away and I came back and read what I wrote. And I said, I'm smart. And my wife said, what'd you say? I said, babe, I'm smart. And she said, well, I know you're smart. You married me, but what are you talking about? I was like, no, I'm smart. Like I walked away and I read what I wrote. And she said, well, what do you think? I mean, you started a martial arts school, a medical staffing company, your own profession. I mean, of course you're starting. I said, well, I'm smart. And I said, well, I never did it because I thought I was smart. I just did it because it was what I was doing. But this made me think of something. A few months back, I remember watching this video of Les Brown in the Georgia Dome. And I thought, well, he would never talk to me. I'm not smart. But in that moment when I said I was smart, I said, well, I'm going to call Les Brown. And she's like, the one who was married to Gladys Knight? And I was like, I don't know who he was married to. I just looked him up on the internet. I don't know. And believe it or not, I called his answering service. They gave me his email. I sent him an email that day. And then the next day after I got out of surgery, there was a note on my phone. I called Les Brown. He had responded to my email, and the rest was history. We went to South Africa together. He invited me to Montego Bay, Jamaica, London, England. We've been all throughout the United States. So, you know, that's kind of how it got started. with number one, me questioning whether I could actually do it. And then that aha moment to say, no, no, not only can you doing it, but you're gonna do it, but you're gonna do it at the top level. So yeah, that's what got me into it.
So tell us a little bit about your speaking program for
Yes.
somebody that wants to be a speaker and, or either they are a speaker
Mhm.
and they need some polishing touches.
Sure. So after I started taking speaker training, I took speaking from a lot of different people. I worked with Robert Allen, 5 times New York Times bestselling author. He wrote Cash and Make Cash in a Fat Flash and No Money Down. Worked with Bill Walsh, America's business expert. Worked with Les Brown. I mean, I worked with a lot of different people, and they all had components. But what I wanted to do was put together a program that would be a one-stop shop. If somebody needed help with their message, right here. Somebody needed help with their marketing, right here. Somebody wanted to go international, right here. If somebody wanted to get help locally, right here. I wanted to have everything they needed right in one place. And so that's why I put together this program, Black Belt Speakers. Now, what people ask me is, why do you call it Black Belt Speakers? For those of you who don't know, I'm a 7th degree Black Belt. I was inducted in the U.S. Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2005. And so Black Belt just represents a level of excellence. For all the people who join the martial arts, their goal is to become a Black Belt. And so I said, I'm going to have Black Belt speakers. I'm going to help people put the punch in their presentation. And so this program is designed to do just that. And I have an online version. I have a live weekly version. So it's for whoever wants to take their message to the next level. And then if they want some connections or some doors open for them, then I help them with that as well.
So now tell us about the events in Africa, because a lot of people have been seeing it on my Facebook page and they're like, well, who is Ruben West? And when I tell them, it's like, it's a 20-minute conversation, almost into an hour, because of all the things God has opened up for you. And I said, I won't even begin to list all these things. I'll let the expert Ruben do that.
Exactly. Before I got to Africa, I've spoken in Dubai and Oman and Bahrain and London and Guyana and Canada. And now you add Kenya and Uganda and Mombasa, Kenya. I mean, just on and on and on and on and on. I've been to a lot of places, but there was something about Kenya. And I think it was because once I spoke there once, then I got invited back to speak for Kingsway Tires, MP Shaw Hospital, Lions Sight First Eye Hospital. They brought me to Mombasa to be the keynote speaker for the Global Women's Voice Conference in 2019. And of course, I was keyed up and ready for 2020, but we all got shut down in 2020 because of COVID. But it's interesting. There's a lot of places I've been through, but it's like Kenya came through me. Like there was a new level of expression, a new level of opportunity, the connection with the people, just the opportunity to do projects and things like that. It just really opened up. And so I did my first event there, Live Your Best Life 19. I had 350 people in the room and it was electrifying. And then we were ready to do it in 2020. And of course, we couldn't because of COVID. So we came back in July of 2021. They changed some things because of social distancing. We had to spread the tables out and do some stuff. So I had 200 people there. And then I said, I'm gonna do that again in November, which is the one that you're gonna be a part of. And literally, we're supposed to have 200 people. I opened the registration up and I didn't close it fast enough. And so we got to 235. So I'm going back to negotiate, say, hey, what can we do? And can we open the back walls? And they said they will accommodate whatever we do, but it's an opportunity for the people there to connect with some people from the United States to get ideas, suggestions, help, coaching, mentoring with their business or their personal life. But also it's an opportunity for the speakers to get new opportunities of organizations, groups, individuals, and new possibilities. I think one of the things that happens, Felice, is when you go on a trip like this, it opens your mind up to a new possibility. You've heard that, you can't be a prophet in your own land. And I understand that. But there's something about when you go international, you're automatically interesting. See, what can I do to get on TV here in Bloomington, Illinois? I'd probably have to commit some crime or something. You know what I'm saying? And then they put me on TV, right? But there, I was on KTN, one of the largest news networks. I was on the radio, one of the morning show. I was on the hot seat, the Breakfast Club show. Like I've been on 6 different stations, shows. And why? Because I'm in another country. That's already interesting. What brings you to Africa? What do you love about Kenya? Tell us about your program. What do you have for the Kenyan people? Like it's already interesting, just the fact that you're there. And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. And one of the things I know, Felice, is they always say it's lonely at the top. And I'm sure you heard that. It's lonely at the top. And I said, that's because you didn't bring anybody with you. So I'm not worried about it being lonely at the top for me, because I plan on bringing people with me every step of the way. And that's why I do the events I do and invite the people like I invite them, because I think that they say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go with a team. That's an African proverb. And so I'm planning on going far, and I'm glad to have you as a part of the team.
Oh, I'm excited to be a part of the team. Everyone is starting to call me now. Oh, you're going to Africa? Tell me, people I haven't talked to in a while. They say, oh, you're going to Africa?
Already
You want to go
interesting.
next year?
Already interesting. Already interesting. You see what I'm saying?
I said, interesting. So I do want to ask you a question, because this is a Christian show. How does God play a key role in your part of being in your business?
You know, you said, how does he play a key role? No, he plays the key role. Not a key role, the key role. Because I'm smart enough to know that the doors that open for me are divinely opened. One thing I learned was never kick down a door. When God wants you in it, he'll open it, right? We have the SWAT team in the United States. And so, you know, if a police officer goes to a house and it seems like they're doing drugs or something in there, he better call for backup. Right. Because if you kick open that door, you got to deal with everything inside of it. And if you're by yourself, you may be in trouble. And that's the mistake we make a lot of times, is we kick open the door. And then when it opens, we got to deal with everything inside of it by ourselves, because it wasn't time for us to open it. What I learned is when God's ready to open it, the door is just open for you. But the good news is he's right there with you. And so he's opened so many doors for me. And it takes that, because, you know, I told you that I remember seeing the Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome with 80,000 people. And I remember saying, man, I can't wait to speak in front of 80,000. Can't wait. And I wasn't egotistical and it wasn't arrogant. I felt like I could make a greater impact the more people that were in there. And then somebody told me, you know, my life has been filled with a series of prophecies that people just walk up there and God told me to tell you this, and God told me to paint this for you, and all these things. I'll explain that when we're on this trip together. But one person told me that, Dr. West, you gotta understand how God wants to use you differently. That he's called you to a higher level, that you're supposed to reach the leaders of the world, that he's going to give a word for you to reach the leaders of the world. And you have to understand the power of a handful. And I was like, well, I don't know. I was planning on talking to 80,000 people. You telling me a handful. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest with you. Like, I'm talking about 80,000. You talking about a handful. And I'm like, is that 5,000? No, a handful, like 5. What? And then watch this, Felice. So now I'm in Burundi, Africa, meeting with the president. There's only a handful of people in the room. Now I'm in Guyana, South America, met with the vice president. Then I came back, met with the vice president again, spent 4 or 5 days with the vice president, flew me to his homeland. There was me and his Secret Service and one other person. And so the whole time there was only a handful of people. You understand? Like, I'm telling you these things because the right handful is bigger than 80,000. You catch what I'm saying? Like, I could speak to 80,000 in an arena, or I could just speak to the president and give him the message that God wants me to give it to him. And now I've inoculated the president with the message, and he spreads it out to the whole country. Millions. There's 47 million Kenyans, and I plan on meeting with the president. You know what I'm saying? And so I've had to get over what I wanted and get to what I was called to be. And so how does God play a role? He is the role, right? My job is to be the vessel so that he can use me. I think most of the time we make the mistake of thinking that we're special, and we're not special. We're just the vessel. And if we let him use us, then he can elevate us to places that we never thought we would get into because he's using us for that. And so imagine me, Dr. Ruben West. I'm from Topeka, Kansas, graduated from a Highland Park High School that they nicknamed Harlem Dark. And now I am the civility ambassador for the country of Kenya. I'm on the TV stations, the network stations, meeting with the religious leaders. I created the Civility Declaration. I wrote the civility campaign civility book. They're passing my book around. I mean, I'm Ruben, like, right? You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who I say I am. What matters is who's God's called me to be. So he plays a central role, and he opens these doors and he gives me the divine wisdom when I'm in there. And that's what's necessary, because what do you say to a president? I mean, what do you say to a person who's over the whole country? Because they're not coming to kick it with you. They're not coming to have a good time. They got a country to run. And so you've got to give them some profound insight that's going to help them run their country. I don't have it, but God can give it to me to give to them. And so that's why I rely on him, and I need him for that wisdom.
Wow. I'm just sitting here like, woo. Now, I do want you to tell our listening audience, for those who do not know what civility is, can you explain that to them?
Absolutely. So civility is treating people the way you want to be treated. Civility is a way of communication. Civility is making a point without making an enemy, especially when we talk about campaign civility, because in Kenya, they've had violence after their last several campaigns. And I'm talking about significant violence. You understand? So what I wanted to do was be the voice to help prevent that violence. And so when you hear countries talk, Felice, most of the time they talk about peace, right? Peace, peace, peace. The problem is peace is the destination, but civility is the transportation. Civility gets you to peace. Peace, they say, keep the peace. Well, peace has to be created before it's kept. How do you create it? Through civility. And so these incivil acts is what disrupts the peace. When we pit one group against another group in Kenya, one tribe against another tribe, in other elections, one race against another race, or one class against another class, that incivility causes the disruption of peace. And most people are naive enough to think that just because there's no violence, there's peace. It's not true, because peace is a state of mind. And so you can not have violence, but still not have peace. So I'm showing them, no, civility is something different. And civility is holding people accountable to what they say they're going to do. So if you say you're going to build roads, be prepared to build roads. And then helping them to understand that there was people saying, I don't want to vote. I don't want to vote. Why? Because I voted before and I voted for roads and this and that, and they didn't do it. So I don't want to vote anymore. Well, first of all, it's not the road's fault. Here's what I told them. You can't blame the target for not getting hit, right? The road isn't wrong. The person was wrong. You wasn't wrong for voting for the road. You're wrong for voting for the person that said they would do it and then didn't do it. So it's not that you shouldn't vote again. You should definitely vote again. You should just vote for somebody who's going to do what they say. So civility is not doing something that would cause pain if done to you or someone you love or care about.
Now, I like that, holding people accountable, because it seems nowadays that word cannot be found in a lot of places.
No. And people have strategic accountability. As a matter of fact, a lot of people know they're not going to do what they say when they say it. Like they already know they're not going to do it. But it is the thing to say. It's the way to act. It's like, and it's become so commonplace, especially in politics and things like that, that they just say it with no intention of doing it. It's just this is what I need to say to get you to vote for me. So I'm gonna say it. And then win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna walk away. We got to have some different standards.
Now, I do want to say something about your son when I met him. He is so awesome. And I look at him he is following in your footsteps. And
Mm.
I just love it. Can you talk about the project that he had in Detroit and how does he feel, being I said, a prototype of his dad?
Well, Robinson's interesting. He, when I wake him up in the morning, I get right in his ear and I say, "You're full of greatness and possibility. You're full of greatness." Every day when I wake him up, that's how I wake him up. You're full of greatness and possibility. And then I make him stand in front of the mirror and say it to himself. So it's not me saying it to him, it's him saying it to himself. And why am I doing that? Because I'm inoculating him. When we did surgery, we would, before we would start the surgery, we would give him a prophylactic antibiotic. Just give him an antibiotic ahead of time. And what they found out is it cut down on the post-surgical infections, right? Well, my words to him are the mental antibiotic for what I know he's about to go through as a young Black man. You understand? So
Mm.
I'm pre-treating it. Now, can you stop all infections? No. Can I stop everything he's going to hear? No. But I can inoculate his mind before he starts to hear it to let him know that you're full of greatness and possibility. And then I could create experiences for him around the world that helps him believe it. He spoke in Nairobi, Kenya at my event in 2019, and he was 7 years old. He's on the stage, and there's a picture of me talking in his ear. People are telling him, "Are you telling him to hold the mic straight? Excuse me, are you telling them to stand up straight? Are you telling them, what are you telling them?" So no, I was telling them, "You're full of greatness and possibility. Now go show them." And the reason I do that is because I want to work on his belief. See, most people, when it comes to kids, they focus on their behavior. Do this, don't do this, sit down, stand down, turn around, pull your pants up. They focus on behavior. I don't focus on behavior, I focus on belief, because belief creates behavior. Will I talk to the young men about pulling their pants up? No, I'm gonna talk to them about pulling their dreams up. And when their dreams come up, their pants will come up automatically. And so if we take the time to inoculate them and speak to them about their dreams and their possibilities, then the way they act, the way they conduct themselves will set itself based on who they believe that they are. My son, it has a project over in Kenya right now. It's a playground project. He decided to build a playground. After our visit, he went there. He said, "Dad, the kids should have a place to play." I said, "Okay, well, what are you going to do about it?" "Oh, well, what can I do?" "I don't know. You're full of greatness and possibility. You tell me. What do they need?" "A playground." "So what else can you do other than build the playground?" "Okay, I'll build the playground." "What do you need?" "I need money." "How can you get money?" Like, don't ask me. It's not my project. And what he realized was that he did modeling and competitions like that. And he realized that he could now do those same competitions, but take the winnings and sponsor his project and then allow other people to donate, other people to give. And so he's been very successful with that.
Now, I like that. I like what you said, a mental antibiotic. Never heard of that before. I'm going to write that in my notes. Greatness and possibility. I like what you said. Speak to their dreams. If they, speak to their mind,
Exactly.
pull their dreams up, they'll pull their pants up.
Exactly. See, most people think we're a product of our environment, and it's not the case. We're a product of our requirement. What are you going to require of yourself? What is the greatness that you're going to hold yourself to? What's that standard? You have to hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone expects of you. Never excuse yourself. And I'm teaching them that at a young age.
I like that. Never excuse yourself. Because I know we always hear this, well, it was the other race's fault.
It's everybody else's fault. And watch this, Felice, this is why we need accountability partners such as you and I working together, because people will tend to excuse you and me. "Well, Ruben, I mean, you went there and maybe you didn't get to the president, and that's okay because you tried. I mean, you was there and right, and they'll make it okay for you to say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I did do that." No, I used at church, we had this song, "I'm running, trying to make 100, 99 and a half won't do." No. I don't want to speak to the press secretary. I don't want to speak to the deputy president. I do, but it's not going to take the place of me speaking to the president. So when I set the goal is it. You see, and I'm not going to excuse myself. I'm gonna set out to reach the goal.
Now, if more people had that determination, their life would look a lot better because a lot of times people they get obstacles. So talk to me about obstacles because I know doing what you do, there's probably a lot of obstacles. How do you face those obstacles that come in your way that say, okay, Ruben, I'm here and I'm not going away, or I'm going to deter your plan. How do you face those obstacles?
You know, when most people face obstacles or setbacks, they say, Felice, they say, why me? Like, why did this happen? That has to happen to me. Number one, who would you rather it happen to? Saying, like you gonna pick somebody and make it happen to them, right? So that's not gonna work. And instead of saying why me, what I say is, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because what I've learned through school is that when you pass the test for a certain grade, you go to the next grade and it gets harder. And then when you pass all those tests, you go to the next grade and it gets harder. It never starts getting easier. The point is to build you to the next level and prepare you for the next thing. So those lessons are supposed to teach us something. So what I say is, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because in life, we get the lesson and then we take the test. So that's what happens in school. I'm sorry. In school, we get the lesson, we take the test, we get the lesson, we take the next test, we get the lesson, we take the next test. And we get used to that. And that's what throws us off in life, because in life, we get the test. And then if we reflect and ask the right questions, we learn the lessons. But most people never learn the lessons. So God keeps giving you the same test until you pass it. And so you find yourself in the same situation again and again. Why? Because there's a lesson you haven't learned. We find ourselves in the same relationships again and again. Why? Because there's a lesson you haven't learned, right? Because you keep getting the same test until you pass it.